A professor asked his students to prepare for a surprise test. The students waited anxiously for the test to begin. The professor handed out the test paper with the text facing down as always. After he finished passing out all the tests, he asked the students to turn it over and begin. But to the students' surprise, there were no questions. There was just a black dot somewhere around the bottom of the paper. The professor then said, "All right, class, I want you to begin to write down exactly what you see." The students started to look at each other like, is he all right? Is he good? But the professor continues, "Just trust me. Write down exactly what you see. Humor me. Give it a shot." At the end of the class, the professor collected all of the papers and said, "Before we leave, I want to read you your answers out loud." All of them, without exception, described the black dot on the paper. They responded by trying to explain that not only is there a spot on the paper, but they wanted to also explain the position of the spot. After he reads all the papers, the classroom is completely silent because the students are trying to figure out what is the point of this. Finally, the professor explained, "I'm not going to grade you guys on this, but I want to give you something to consider." He said, "I handed you a piece of paper, and every single one of you were concerned about the black dot." He continued that the same thing happens in our lives. Our life is a special gift from God, and we always have reason to celebrate it. And yet, we spend all of our time and all of our energy focusing on the dark spots in life. The professor continued to explain that the truth is there's so much more of the white paper than there is the black dot. We just have to choose what we focus on. Life is like a wild roller coaster, always throwing new challenges our way. And a lot of times it feels as though we are just barely treading water. We're just barely making it. We make grand plans for ourselves, and when things don't go as planned, it's easy for us to get stuck in the rut of negativity. I've heard it said that depression is being consumed with the past, anxiety is being worried about the future, but the easiest way to combat both feelings is to challenge yourself to live a life of gratitude. The more grateful you are for what you have, the more abundance life will bring you. Whenever we focus on what we're grateful for, especially in the midst of chaos, it opens the door to so many good things to come our way. And as I dive into this subject, I want to ask you a question. What if the only things in your life tomorrow are the things that you express gratitude for today? You see, gratitude is like a magnet for positivity in our lives. Much like a magnet draws in metal, gratitude has the power to draw in all the good things, whether they be big or small. I want you to realize that you are always attracting something. We are always attracting experiences. We're attracting certain people. We're attracting certain blessings. And when we cultivate gratitude, we strengthen that magnetic pull, bringing even more reasons to be thankful. The thing about gratitude isn't necessarily our default mode. For a lot of us, the default mode is to complain and play victim. This means if we are going to live a life of gratitude, it is going to take consistent effort. Gratitude is a muscle. Just like your natural muscles, they can grow stronger the more you work on them. The more you challenge yourself to focus in on what is good and to focus in on what you have as opposed to what you lack, the stronger that gratitude muscle becomes and the more fulfilled you feel in life. You want to have a magnetic field of positivity that is so strong that it creates cycles and patterns of positivity in your life. Many are on a search for happiness in life. It's a very common thing to hear. Hey, what do you want out of life? Well, I just want to be happy. But I love what Dennis Wheatley said. He said, happiness cannot be traveled to, owned, earned, worn, or consumed. Happiness is a spiritual experience of living every moment focused on love, focused on grace, and focused on gratitude. And a lot of times we get it backwards in life because it is ultimately not happiness that makes us grateful. It is gratefulness that makes us happy. Another thought to consider is gratitude is not an acquisition. Gratitude is awareness. And when you look around and become truly aware of all that you have been blessed with, when you look around and see all of the gifts that you have been given, scarcity has to make way for abundance every time. Another thing that I've noticed in my life is that gratitude is too big to share the seat. Think about this. Have you ever noticed that you cannot be angry and grateful at the same time? Research states that the part of your brain that you get anger and anxiety from is actually the same part of your brain that you get gratitude from. This means that even science knows that it is impossible for you to be angry, anxious, and grateful all at the same time. Whenever gratitude sits in your situation, anger has to go. Whenever gratitude takes a seat in your situation, anxiety has to go. Whenever gratitude sits down in your situation, depression has to go. Because gratitude is too big to share the seat with negativity. It's a shield from negativity. It is within itself the polar opposite of all things negative. So we want to make it a practice to be grateful. Things are going right, be grateful. Things are going wrong, be grateful. Because at the end of the day, the way that you react to challenges determines what you take with you from each challenge. Research on practicing gratitude has shown numerous benefits for your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. Some of the things on that list is there's improved mental health. Gratitude practices have been linked to showing signs of reducing depression and anxiety. One study found that individuals that wrote daily letters of gratitude reported significantly better mental health outcomes. Another finding of research is there's enhanced happiness overall. People who cultivate a habit of expressing gratitude tend to experience more positive emotions and a greater sense of fulfillment. There's also better relationships. Just think about it. Who would want to be friends with someone who never said thank you? Who would want to be in a relationship with a significant other or a spouse that never expressed gratitude for what you do for them? Who wants to be around a coworker that plays victim all the time? The answer is that the only people that want to be around negative people are negative people. Those that are positive and those that are trying to build a life of fulfillment look at negative people like, man, why don't you go somewhere? Why don't you go live on your little negative island? We trying to win over here. There's also a level of increased resilience in people of gratitude. Studies show that by focusing on what they're grateful for, they can reframe challenges in a more positive light, leading to greater emotional strength and coping abilities. Now, all of that sounds great, but I want to remind you that you will not receive the benefits of a task without a daily commitment to making it happen. So what are some practical ways that we can develop a gratitude practice? The very first one is make it a point to start and end each day in gratitude. Begin the morning reflecting on something you're grateful for. Set the tone for a positive day. Then, when you go to bed, recall a highlight or a blessing of your day. Too many of us go to sleep in chaos, and you're wondering why you're having all these crazy dreams. When your body goes to sleep, your mind is not sleeping. So why not put positivity? Why not put gratitude on your mind before you lay your head down? And it's going to be a challenge. It's going to take you developing this habit. For years, whenever I would wake up, the very first thing I did was to grab my phone and start feeding all that negative energy into my mind before I even got out of the bed. And if I wasn't checking my socials, I was checking emails, which is even worse because you know the people you work with. And there were times where I had an attitude about work before I even arrived at work, because as soon as I woke up, I would just grab that phone. How about waking up and before you do anything, saying, thank you. Thank you. I get another chance to. Thank you. Another addition to waking up and going to bed, considering gratitude, is to start a gratitude journal. In those moments where you're waking up and you're thinking about what you're grateful for, or before you go to bed, you're thinking about what you're grateful for, write it down. And what I love about the gratitude journal is that it is a tool, which means during those times where life is hard, during those times where you have nothing but negativity around you, during those times when you don't know how you are going to live another day, you can pull that gratitude journal and be reminded of all of the blessings that are already in your life. Another way to work this gratitude muscle is to challenge yourself to express gratitude verbally to others. Don't let a thank you moment pass you by. And sometimes moments happen in your life that are huge and it's obvious that you should say thank you. But there are several little moments throughout your day that you can say thank you and work that gratitude muscle. Another thought is to shift your perspective from challenges to opportunity. Every challenge carries within itself an opportunity. Every problem carries within itself the answer. So when you're going through challenges, train yourself to be grateful for the growth, the resilience, and the insights that are gained from overcoming obstacles. Those that go through a challenge are the most equipped to help someone else. And the challenges you go through are for you initially, but there's a second part, because the challenge you go through can't just stop at being for you, but it's also a challenge that you went through to help or to serve somebody else. Paying it forward should be a lifestyle. And I get it. Going through challenges is hard, but that is the importance of intentionally seeking out things to be grateful for. Recently, I came across a story of a young woman traveling down the street. While walking down the street, she comes across a man begging for money on the side of the road. When she looked down, she saw an empty bowl next to him and a cardboard sign that said, "Blind, please help." She looked around the busy streets of downtown and noticed that nobody was helping him. So she decided to take action into her own hands. She took a pen out of her pocket, flipped over the cardboard sign, and wrote a message on the cardboard. While she's writing, the blind man can hear somebody writing on his cardboard, but he's so curious that he lets it happen and doesn't even say anything. After she's done writing her message, she puts the sign back, she puts some change in the bowl, and then walks away. The blind man began to notice that as the day went on, he started to hear more and more people putting change in his bowl. Curiosity gets a hold of the blind man, and so he asked a stranger walking by, Hey, can you please read what's on my sign?" The man looks at the sign and replies, "It says, 'Today is a beautiful day, and I'm so happy you have the privilege to be able to see it.'" See, in tough times, it's easy to forget the automatic blessings, the automatic gifts that we open every single day. And sometimes gratitude is as simple as being grateful that you have eyes to see. It's as simple as being grateful that you have ears to hear. It's as simple as saying, "Yeah, I know my apartment is not my dream home, but hey, at least I'm out of the rain. Yeah, my car is not brand new, but hey, I remember when I had to walk everywhere in the heat." Gratitude is a decision. And the good news is, once you begin to train yourself To look at life through the lens of gratitude, it doesn't become so challenging to do so. Another thought that is if you're in a situation where life's challenges feel overwhelming, you need to find somebody to serve because your worst day is better than somebody else's. And when you give to others, you foster a sense of contentment and a sense of fulfillment. Lastly, take time to reflect on past blessings. On your growth mission, reminding yourself of how far you've come instills a deep sense of perspective. And remember, having the right perspective breeds gratitude. I love what Melody Beatty said. She said, gratitude makes sense of our past. It brings us peace for today and creates a vision for tomorrow. And if you're watching me right now, you're still here. Life has thrown you around. People have abused you. People have taken advantage of your kindness. And for some of you, the situation you're in is 1000% your own fault. But if you woke up this morning, you were given another chance to do better and be better. You might not be where you want to be, but you're still here. Stop searching for the things that you are already surrounded by. And remember that the circumstances of your life are just a season. They're not your life. Every new day is the best day of your life. And if you don't believe me, try missing. Always remember that growth is a journey. It's not a destination. I'm in it with you, and I'll see you on the next.